You've seen caution hot on coffee cups, but it gets way worse. In this video, 33 most unhelpful safety warnings in history will blow your mind. These are the most unnecessary safety warnings ever printed in human history. From wildly unhelpful labels to absurd warnings, you'll question basic common sense. Real companies paid lawyers to write safety warnings that help absolutely nobody. We'll look at the most bizarre warnings and the real stories behind them. Ready to see how far safety can go off the rails? Hot coffee cups needing caution, coffee is hot warnings. You'd think everyone knows coffee is hot, yet apparently not. In the early 1990s, McDonald's learned that lesson very publicly. After Stella Liebeck spilled drive-thru coffee in Albuquerque, she suffered severe burns. Evidence showed restaurants keeping coffee far hotter than homebrewers ever would. Internal documents measured temperatures near industrial cleaning levels, not cozy breakfast levels. Her lawsuit exploded into talk shows, late-night jokes, and corporate panic. Suddenly, cups across American chains carried giant warnings about hot beverages. To many people, it looked ridiculous, but legal departments relaxed slightly. The phrase "caution, hot, survive" scarred into cardboard like a legal tattoo. Silica gel packets shouting "do not eat" inside new products. Nothing kills snack time faster than realizing the treat loudly screams inedible. Silica gel packets hide inside shoeboxes, handbags, electronics, even seaweed snacks. They're there to soak up moisture so mold and corrosion never start. Because they resemble sugar packets, manufacturers print giant skull-level warnings on them. The funny part is that silica gel itself is usually non-toxic. The real risk is choking, especially for kids and curious pets. Still, seeing "do not eat" next to your new sneakers feels dramatic. The internet filled with photos of them sitting beside actual food. They've basically become the world's smallest, driest, most overprotected non-snack in history. Children's Superman costumes saying "wearing cape does not enable flying." A superhero cape should unlock flight, at least in a kid's mind. In reality, Halloween manufacturers in the United States worried about hospital visits. Licensed Superman costumes started carrying serious labels saying the outfit doesn't enable flying. The warning sounds silly until you remember kids launching off furniture. Parents reported children jumping from porches, bunk beds, even low garage roofs. Lawyers imagined a jury staring at a cape without any obvious warning. So the fine print grew into bold print on cardboard costume inserts. The message basically tells children your powers stop at the living room. Somehow, a character who defies gravity inspired one of gravity's strictest labels. Microwave oven manuals, warning owners not to dry pets inside. Of all the places for a pet, a microwave ranks last. Yet microwave manuals began including lines warning owners not to dry animals inside. Whether that specific tale is true or not, the risk is obvious. Microwave energy heats water inside tissue frighteningly fast, causing horrible internal damage. As microwaves spread through American kitchens in the 1970s, engineers anticipated misuse. Manufacturers had already seen people attempting to disinfect sponges, socks, even underwear. Add in urban legends, lawyers, and late-night comedy, and the warning stuck. Today, that single line feels like a monument to modern common-sense failure. Chainsaw manual warning: do not stop chain with genitals. Some safety warnings sound less like advice and more like bleak stand-up comedy. On a widely shared Swedish chainsaw label, one line became internet legend. Alongside normal rules about goggles and gloves, it warned against using hands or genitals. The phrasing was clumsy translation wrapped around a perfectly serious safety concern. Chainsaws spin metal teeth fast enough to shred hardwood, not just tree branches. Manufacturers had already dealt with lawsuits from people grabbing moving chains barehanded. So the English manual grew longer, stranger, and oddly unforgettable in certain lines. Photos of that page traveled through email chains and early forums worldwide. One awkward sentence turned a hardware manual into an accidental viral comedy script. Curling irons labeled for external use only on hair tools. A hairstyling tool should never need the same warning as medication. Yet many curling irons in North America say they're for external use only. Manufacturers weren't worried about people styling hair from the inside, obviously. Some people apparently treated hot irons like improvised heaters or intimate warming devices. Electrical safety agencies recorded weird emergency room stories no marketing department could ignore. Adding the line cost pennies compared with defending one ugly lawsuit in court. So a beauty gadget ended up sounding like something pharmacists might reluctantly dispense. Every time you read it, you can't help picturing the meaning behind it. iPod Shuffle packaging, simply telling buyers, do not eat. When Apple shipped the tiny iPod Shuffle, people joked it resembled candy. The device was small, brightly colored, and surprisingly snack-sized in promotional photos. It didn't take long for wacky warning lists to highlight its packaging. Some versions reportedly carried the blunt message telling users not to eat it. No one seriously believed Apple expected customers to chew on digital music players. But tech companies had watched lawsuits unfold over far stranger user choices. The Shuffle's compact design meant real choking hazards if a child swallowed components. So Apple leaned into legal caution, even as fans laughed online about it. In the end, the label made an MP3 player sound like dangerous gum. Wheelbarrow tire sticker reading, not intended for highway use. Imagine passing someone on the interstate driving a wheelbarrow like a sports car. Tire manufacturers apparently worried some customer might actually treat it that way. On some replacement wheelbarrow tires, a molded warning bans highway use entirely. The tires are meant for gardens, not 80-mile-an-hour construction site escape attempts. In the United States, regulations often require clear labels about rated operating conditions. Rather than design a different sidewall for each product, companies reuse generic molds. That meant wheelbarrow tires inherited language originally meant for small trailer wheels. To consumers, though, it reads like a preemptive strike against cartoon-level stupidity. The result is a garden tool that quietly imagines your worst road trip decisions. Children's scooter warning: this product moves when used. Only modern packaging could warn you that wheels actually make things move. Children's scooters sometimes carry lines explaining the toy will roll during operation. It sounds absurd until you picture a crowded American courtroom after an accident. Parents have sued companies over kids falling, scraping knees, or breaking bones. Manufacturers responded by spelling out every obvious consequence of hopping on rolling hardware. The label basically describes gravity, momentum, and childhood all in one sentence. It also shifts blame subtly from product design to user expectation and supervision. Once the warning appeared, it spread across different brands and budget models worldwide. Today it reads like physics class, delivered by a very nervous lawyer. Toilet brush tag insisting, do not use for personal hygiene. Some warnings make you more uncomfortable the longer you think about them. Toilet brushes in American stores sometimes carry tags banning personal hygiene uses. Nobody wants to imagine the specific incident that inspired that particular sentence. Retailers had already dealt with customers misunderstanding scrub brushes, loofahs, and cleaning tools. When a product touches toilet water, companies treat every possible contact as biohazardous. So they added a blunt message separating bathroom cleaning from body cleaning duties. The tag usually hangs right where your hand naturally grabs the handle. Shoppers notice it, pause, and wonder what story the label isn't telling. The brush itself becomes less gross, than whatever inspired those 13 traumatized words. You see, the world becomes a viral. Rectal thermometer explaining not to use orally afterward. Medical instructions sometimes reveal more about human behavior than any psychology textbook. Instruction sheets for certain electronic thermometers warn against oral use after rectal use. Nurses and doctors had seen enough mix-ups to demand extremely explicit wording. Families share thermometers, toss them in drawers, and forget exactly how they were used. Manufacturers realized polite language wasn't preventing a few spectacularly wrong second readings. So the warning grew sharper, more graphic, and impossible to ignore mid-fever. The line shows up in collections of ridiculous labels, yet reflects real cases. Behind the joke is someone in a clinic wishing that sentence existed sooner. It's one medical warning that quietly proves labels sometimes protect dignity, not lawsuits. Dog shampoo bottle saying contents should not be fed to fish. Pet shampoo seems harmless until someone dumps it into the wrong pet's home. At least one dog shampoo bottle famously warns against feeding contents to fish. The label most likely came from people rinsing products into aquariums or ponds. Many grooming formulas contain detergents perfectly safe on fur, but deadly to gills. Manufacturers realized customers often treat all pet products as interchangeable across species. Rather than redesign branding, they did the cheaper thing and added a sentence. The wording sounds like someone once poured leftover bathwater into koi ponds. Photos of the bottle spread online, turning a toxicology note into comedy. Somewhere, a confused goldfish dodged becoming the original case study for that line. Laser pointer label, do not look with remaining eye. Few labels manage to be darkly funny and genuinely terrifying simultaneously. One widely shared laser pointer warning tells users not to look with remaining eye. The phrasing implies someone already learned the hard way about the first eye. Cheap laser pointers flooded markets and schoolyards in the 1990s and 2000s. Eye specialists warned that staring into beams could damage delicate retinal tissue. Regulators pressed manufacturers to emphasize that these weren't harmless toy flashlights for kids. Instead of gentle explanations, some factories printed harsh, unforgettable one-liner safety instructions. The over-the-top wording traveled through email threads and photo galleries of strange labels. It turned a pocket gadget into a miniature horror story about careless curiosity. Dessert box bottom printing, do not turn upside down. Telling people not to flip something and then hiding the message underneath is classic mischief. Certain dessert boxes literally print "do not turn upside down" on the bottom panel. You only see it if you already broke the supposed rule. It's partly a shipping instruction, meant for warehouses stacking pallets and crates. Cakes and toppings can leak, smear, or collapse if stored upside down. But once customers discovered the bottom text, it turned into an inside joke. Photos of inverted boxes spread online, making the warning internet famous overnight. Manufacturers likely didn't plan to create a tiny built-in prank for shoppers. Yet they accidentally designed packaging that scolds you only after you misbehave. Cardboard sunshield telling drivers not to drive with it. A windshield sunshade is basically a giant cardboard blindfold for your car. Some versions feel obligated to explain you shouldn't drive with it installed. Automakers and accessory brands learned that any removable object might stay during motion. People once backed out of parking spaces, forgetting their windshield was completely blocked. Insurance adjusters have seen stranger reasons for low-speed parking lot collisions. So, print designers added a line that reads like automotive stand-up comedy. The phrase appears next to cartoon diagrams of correct dashboard positioning. Drivers still post photos of the warning alongside jokes about Darwin Awards. It's a reminder that every obvious sentence probably hides one embarrassing incident report. Frisbee packaging. Warning toy may contain small parts. A standard flying disc is one solid ring of plastic, nothing to swallow. Yet some Frisbee-style toys share generic packaging that warns about small parts. Manufacturers reuse box templates across product lines to cut printing costs dramatically. That means a warning for complex toys sometimes ends up on simple discs. Parents open the box, see one big circle, and laugh at the label. The actual choking hazard might be the plastic bag or detachable hang tag. Lawyers prefer one extra sentence to designing different warnings for every shape. So the disc joins a strange club of solid toys fearing imaginary fragments. In the end, the most dangerous small part is still human attention span. Battery label, do not recharge, put backwards, or use. Disposable batteries carry some of the most pessimistic instructions in retail history. On certain alkaline cells, the fine print stacks warnings like a nervous monologue. Users are told not to recharge them, install backwards, or mix types. Those rules come from real lab tests showing leaks, ruptures, and overheating risks. People have tried microwaving, freezing, and even drilling cheap batteries for experiments. Manufacturers watched enough consumer improvisation to assume the worst-case scenario every time. So tiny cylinders now treat you like you've never seen electricity before. The label makes a 9-volt sound more dangerous than a car battery. Really, it just reflects decades of trial, error, and exploding flashlight incidents. Bathroom heater label stating not to use in bathrooms. Nothing feels more ironic than a bathroom heater banned from bathrooms. Some portable electric heaters sold in Europe and North America carry that restriction. They're designed for dry rooms, not steamy tiles, wet towels, and splashing kids. Moisture can corrode components and increase shock risk, especially around metal fixtures. Regulators classify certain models as unsuitable for high humidity or splash zone environments. Instead of renaming the product, companies slapped confusing warning labels on the casing. Shoppers reading it imagine tragic stories behind such a strangely specific prohibition. Electricians just see a compromise between marketing ambitions and strict safety standards. The label proves that sometimes the name on the box outlives common sense. Air freshener spray for use by trained personnel only. An air freshener doesn't sound like something that needs specialist certification. Yet industrial aerosol cans often warn they're only for trained personnel to use. These products are meant for warehouses, factories, and large office ventilation systems. They can contain concentrated solvents and propellants far stronger than household bathroom sprays. Cleaning crews receive safety training on masks, ventilation, and exposure time limits. To prevent casual employees from grabbing them like regular room fragrance, labels got serious. The line migrated onto smaller cans when companies reused artwork across product sizes. Seeing it in a tiny office supply cabinet makes the warning hilarious. It's a reminder that some air fresheners started life as chemical lab equipment. Silly putty packaging. Do not use as earplugs. Silly putty was designed for bouncing, stretching, and copying Sunday comics, not silence. Yet some packages warn against using the goo as improvised earplugs. Kids pressed it into ears during car rides, movies, and noisy classrooms. Doctors then had to dig colorful blobs out of ear canals worldwide. The material sticks firmly to skin and soft hair inside narrow spaces. After enough panicked parents appeared in emergency rooms, manufacturers updated their safety language. The line joined other warnings about hair, fabric, and swallowing small chunks. Collectors of strange labels later elevated it to legendary status online. All because one quiet kid idea turned into a recurring pediatric extraction nightmare. Cattle prod handle marked for use on animals only. A device built for livestock control shouldn't need instructions about human targets. Yet some electric cattle prods clearly state they're meant only for animals. Ranchers and farmhands sometimes joked about shocking coworkers during long, boring workdays. Manufacturers worried those pranks could turn into bruises, injuries, and eventual lawsuits. Electrical shocks calibrated for cattle might be excessive for thin human clothing. Regulators also frown on any suggestion of using such tools on people. So the blunt sentence appeared on handles sold across American feed stores. The warning says as much about rural humor as safety engineering. In the end, it tries to keep both liability and tempers under control. Breath mint label warning not intended for weight control. Breath mints seem harmless until people start treating them like diet pills. Some sugar-free brands in the United States added lines discouraging weight control use. The concern was that people might eat entire tins instead of meals. Artificial sweeteners and sugar alcohols can cause serious stomach trouble in high amounts. Past legal battles over slimming candy made regulators extremely cautious about health claims. Rather than invite the Food and Drug Administration into marketing meetings, companies clarified intentions. Their mints were for fresh breath, not miracle bikini season transformations. The warning looks ridiculous next to a tiny, low-calorie peppermint. But it quietly reflects decades of fads where anything edible became a diet tool. Milk crate slogan announcing theft of container is crime. Plastic milk crates became urban furniture long before dairies fully noticed. College students turned them into bookshelves, speaker stands, and improvised storage units. Bar owners used them for everything except returning them to bottling plants. Each missing crate cost dairies money to replace, cutting into already thin margins. So suppliers began molding threats directly into the sides of the crates. They warned that unauthorized use or sale of the container might be illegal. In some US states, specific laws actually back up those cranky side messages. Still, most people reading them are just carrying laundry down apartment hallways. The label turns a humble crate into the most dramatic plastic box imaginable. Boeing 757, aircraft tagged, simply fragile, do not drop. Seeing the word fragile on something weighing dozens of tons is surreal. One widely quoted label reportedly appeared on equipment attached to a Boeing 757. It likely referred to a delicate instrument panel or removable service component. Yet the phrasing made it sound like the entire jet needed careful handling. Aviation maintenance crews already treat every part with extreme caution and written procedures. But packaging suppliers reuse generic shipping stickers originally meant for much smaller items. Someone snapped a photo of the tag near recognizable Boeing markings on the ramp. The image raced through aviation forums, email chains, and humor sites worldwide. It gave people the mental picture of baggage handlers casually dropping full-size airliners. Mail truck dashboard reminder telling drivers to look before driving. Postal trucks already wear enough stickers, but this one feels almost parental. Some delivery vans display dashboard notes reminding drivers to look before driving off. The warning focuses on double-checking for pedestrians, packages, and obstacles around the vehicle. Mail carriers often pull forward after quick stops at clustered mailboxes. In crowded neighborhoods, that habit caused accidents with kids, dogs, and parked cars. Supervisors responded with training sessions and printed reminders stuck right above the steering wheel. Drivers joke about it, but accident statistics pushed management to keep it. It's a tiny sticker born from thousands of near misses on quiet streets. Stereo box paper slip clarifying styrofoam packing is not edible. Buying a new stereo should not involve questioning the safety of packing foam. Yet some boxes include paper slips explaining that the styrofoam inside isn't food. Retail employees had watched toddlers chew on corners while parents tested speakers. The material crumbles into bits that look strangely like puffed rice or marshmallows. Ingested pieces can cause choking or digestive blockages, especially in small children. Rather than redesign packaging, manufacturers printed a one-sentence reality check for customers. The warning sometimes appears next to notes about recycling and environmental disposal. it quickly migrated into online compilations of ridiculous product safety messages. All because one person somewhere decided to snack on the stereo's protective armor. Fruit roll-up. Wrapper ordering consumers to remove plastic before eating. Fruit snacks shouldn't need to remind you to ditch the wrapper first. Still, fruit roll-up style treats print instructions to remove the plastic film before eating. Kids sometimes bite straight through, catching bits of clear sheet between sticky layers. Teachers and parents reported choking hazards and complaints about weird textures in school lunches. Packaging designers wanted to prevent even one more emergency cafeteria Heimlich moment. So they added a sentence that sounds like an insult to human intelligence. Ironically, the plastic is almost invisible once the bright sugar covers it completely. That makes the warning useful for distracted parents and impatient kids alike. The line became a classic example of modern labels narrating painfully obvious steps. Phone manual warning: do not put lit candles on phone. Old-school cordless phones never aspired to become part of your home decor. Yet one instruction booklet specifically told users not to place lit candles on them. The warning came from people using the flat base as a tiny side table. Hot wax dripped into vents, warped plastic, and sometimes shorted internal electronics. Fire departments hate anything that combines open flame with aging plastic housings. So manufacturers spelled it out, even though it sounded hilariously specific. The line joined other gems about moisture, heat, and cleaning with abrasive cleaners. Photos of that sentence later circulated as proof of human decorating creativity. Apparently, for some households, every flat surface becomes a potential candle stand. TV remote control label declaring device is not dishwasher safe. Nothing says bad evening like fishing a melted remote from the dishwasher. Some television remotes now carry labels explicitly stating they're not dishwasher safe. The warning traces back to people washing sticky remotes with dirty dinner plates. Heat and water destroyed circuit boards, then customers called support demanding replacements. Electronic manufacturers tired of explaining that waterproof meant spill-resistant, not cycle-friendly. So they printed the rule directly on the back where hands naturally rest. The line joined other icons warning against microwaves, ovens, and soaking in sinks. Tech forums later highlighted it as peak modern overprotectiveness toward plastic rectangles. Still, somewhere, one very clean remote died so the rest could be saved. Life vest tag explaining warning: do not swallow device. A life vest is designed to keep you afloat, not go down your throat. Some inflatable models include warnings that the device should not be swallowed. The strange phrasing likely came from translation quirks on international safety tags. Designers wanted to warn against chewing valves, biting tubes, or tearing seams. Maritime regulations require clear instructions, understandable across languages and reading levels. The end result sounded like it was aimed at toddlers or cartoon characters. Passengers on ferries and small boats sometimes read the tag and burst out laughing. Behind the humor, companies still worry about panicked behavior during real emergencies. So, the vest quietly carries one of the world's most literal safety messages. High-voltage sign contact will result in death. $200 fine. Some warning signs accidentally make it sound like death isn't the worst part. One widely photographed high-voltage notice promises death, plus a modest monetary fine. The sign likely came from combining legal penalties and safety statements in one panel. Utilities wanted to emphasize both physical danger and trespassing consequences on restricted equipment. But the stacked lines suggest authorities will still invoice your next of kin. Pictures of the sign spread around engineering forums and urban exploration communities. People joked that the fine amount seemed oddly low for guaranteed death. In reality, the wording reflects bureaucracy more than anyone's sense of humor. It's a perfect snapshot of how legal language can out-awkward even fatal electricity. Balloon warning telling you to cover eyes while inflating. Blowing up a balloon seems harmless until one explodes right in your face. Manufacturers started warning users to cover their eyes while inflating latex balloons. Reports describe balloons snapping suddenly and sending fragments straight toward people's eyes. Children and adults both suffered minor injuries from party decorations gone wrong. Safety groups urged companies to treat balloons less like toys, more like small explosives. So packages gained detailed instructions about pumps, supervision, and eye protection. Party store shoppers now see serious paragraphs on bags of bright, smiling balloons. The contrast between cheerful colors and stern warnings makes them unforgettable. Every time you inhale to blow one up, that tiny paragraph echoes back.